Hey everyone, welcome back to Unicorn Dust Designs. This is the crime and crafting series, and I don't want to make this intro too long, but I wanted to say a few things. One, thank you so much for all of the support you guys have given me with this new series. I knew it wasn't going to make everybody happy, 53 to be exact. That's how many subscribers I lost, but I also gained 51 subscribers. So for those newcomers, thank you. Hi, my name is Sammy. I love doing DIYs, wood signs, upcycles, all of that stuff. And this is a new series for me. I am truly passionate about true crime, and I thought, what a great way to share it with crafting and crime. A few things that I just wanted to point out. Some of you did mention it was hard to see the craft. You guys, this is only my second time doing it today, and it is very hard. If you watch true crime, then you know most of it is focused directly on the person, and it is very hard to get my face and the DIY in the project. So bear with me. I'm learning. I'm trying to figure this all out, and I'm trying the best that I can with it. I will try and start dropping the supplies I'm going to be using prior to the video, as well as showing you the DIY we will be working on for the day, which here, as I put it in, is the DIY we're going to be working on today. I don't know. Okay, so you guys, today we are going to be focusing on a true crime story regarding Tara and Stephen Grant. I wanted to stress before I get into this true crime story that I will be donating 20% of my ad revenue from this video that I make for this entire month to to Tara's walk. This walk was created by Tara's children, and it helps stop domestic violence and brings awareness. It is an amazing walk. You could even do it virtually. I will leave all of the links, and I will talk about it later in the video. But I just wanted you guys to know that starting out so that you guys watch the ads, because again, 20% of my ad revenue from this video for the entire month will be going to Tara's walk, which is happening on September 25th of this month in September. So that's why I wanted to do this story. So with that said, you guys, let's go ahead and get into the crime and crafting. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back. Huge disclaimer before we start this. Remember, this is not for our daytime rainbow unicorns at all. Not at all. So make sure they are not watching this Unicorn Dust Designs series. This is for the nighttime unicorns. I saw somebody hashtag nighttime unicorns, and I was like, yes, that is awesome. So remember, disclaimer, this is about true crime. This is about murder, and the little ones should not be watching this series. So with that said, grab your snack. I got my water. I got my balanced breaks right here in case I get hungry. And then I got my notes right here too, just in case I get hung up on something, you know? It happens. It does, you know, second time. Whew, I'm still nervous. I'm already like sweating. Why did I wear a sweater? I do not know. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get into the background of Tara and Stephen Grant. So Tara was attending college at Michigan University, and Stephen had just recently dropped out of school because he was working for a former senator. Now, it's unclear. I don't know how they met, like if they were at a bar or the library or what it was, but they ended up meeting and they became friends. Now, Stephen says that he had asked Tara out multiple times and she had said no because she did have a boyfriend back at home. Now, he would say that like he asked her quite a few times. She would say no, but they did stay friends. Well, this would change when Tara's grandmother would unfortunately pass away. Tara had to drive back home for the funeral, which was about like a day's drive. And Stephen these are Steven's accounts, of course, is saying that he wanted to make sure that he was there for Tara during this hard time. So he drives all the way over there before the funeral starts and shows up to the funeral. And Tara, everybody is shocked by this. And Steven says that it was really awkward because her boyfriend was there, and but he knew that he wanted to be there for Tara. So he says he even stayed after to go to dinner with them and then just felt very uncomfortable. So he ended up leaving that night. Well, the next morning, Tara called him and confessed her love to him, said that she was in love with him. So I guess grand gestures do actually work sometimes. But I don't know about you guys, but if that was not like my best friend or something, I would really be creeped out if a guy drove. I mean, like, I don't know. I would be super creeped out. But she obviously wasn't. So maybe they were besties or something before all this happened. I don't know. So they end up getting together and forming a relationship. They end up moving in with each other, and then they get married in 1996. Soon after, I think it was in 2000, they would have their first child, a girl, and then 2 years later, they would have a baby boy. Well, I believe it was after they got married, Tara landed a job with Washington Group. Now, Tara, you guys, was like a double S woman. She had this amazing career. She was a great mom. She was a wife. She was, I mean, what I would think would be a super cool job, got to travel the world with this career. And at the time of all of this, she had been working in Puerto Rico. So she would stay in Puerto Rico during the week, so Monday through Friday. Then on Friday, she would take a jet back home, spend the weekend with her family, and then leave Monday to go back to work. So now with all of this background information, so Sarah comes home on February 9th, 2007, and she walks into the house. Steven's upstairs getting ready for bed, and she tells him that she is going to have to leave early this weekend. So instead of going back to work on Monday, she would need to go back to work on Sunday. And Steven is upset. He's telling her, like, you can't do that to the kids. You're not home as it is. You can't leave early. And Tara gets upset by this. She packed her bags, and then he says that he hears her on the phone stating that, you know, wait a minute, I'll be right out. And then he says he sees her exiting the garage and getting into a black sedan car. Now, he calls Tara like 2 hours after this, and there are some videos where you can actually hear it. I'll try to find them, you guys, or at least link them in the video. But he calls her saying, like, where are you? We need to talk. You can't just leave. Like, the kids miss you, and yada, yada, yada. Well, he then calls, so then the next day he calls the family. He still hasn't heard from Tara. He's assuming that, like, she went back to Puerto Rico. Her family, he says, is telling him that, you know, just let her cool off. She'll be fine. Like, she just needs time. And through this, Steven is still, like, calling and leaving her voicemails, you know, stating that he's worried and all this stuff. Then comes 5 days later, so it was on Valentine's Day, February 14th, Steven goes to the police and reports Tara missing finally, because he says that he tried to call her boss. He wasn't getting any answer from him, and he at this point was worried. So he went to the Macomb County's sheriff's office. He tells them that he hasn't heard from his wife, tells them what happened, and they right away start an investigation, because this is a nice, part. This is like the suburbs, and this, beautiful, intelligent woman just randomly up and disappears. And they're like, okay, this is really weird. This is odd. We're going to start investigating. So right away, they head over to Stephen's house, Stephen and Tara's house. And the sheriffs say that like Stephen was overly cooperative. He, allowed them to come in the house. He was, answering all the questions, but he was also showing like nervous tendencies, nervous behavior. And they say that sometimes when people are overly cooperative, that kind of like ding, 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 maybe, who knows? So they start the investigation. And meanwhile, Stephen is like superstar of the media at this point. Like he is going on TV show after, not TV show, but like news reports and having interviews. And oh, you guys, like I said, if I could find the clips, I will insert them in my videos. But if not, I'm going to link them down in the description box for you. I know you true crime fans like research these stories after you watch them anyways. But he, in one interview when it first happens, is like sobbing. And I say this because there are no tears coming out of this guy's eyes at all. Like if you could not tell this guy was full of bleep, 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 then oh my gosh, you just have to see this. So he goes on to do all of these interviews. And at first it's like, oh, she's such a good mom. I don't know what happened. He's showing, all of this worry that, a concerned husband would show. Well, that would soon change, because a woman jogging through the nearby park would find something in a tree. So this is the break that they needed. She finds something in the tree, and it's a plastic bag filled with items. Well, the police say what is in that bag are some metal shreds, some vinyl gloves, and blood, which gets tested and matches Tara Grant. So this is the case that they need. This is the break that they need, and now they know something has happened to Tara. So after this, though, they of course they're like, okay, we need to spread out the search. We're going to search this park. They notify Stephen, and at this point now, Stephen doesn't want to cooperate. He doesn't want to help them. He tells them that they have to go through his lawyer if they want to conversate with him. They ask him for a poly test, which he denies. And then it's later found out that they like took their own, and it came back inconclusive. So, oh gosh, that is not Mod Podge. That is brown paint. We do not need that. Okay, so after they find this evidence in the park, like I said, they do a full-on search of the park for any clues that would lead them to where she is. Well, 3 weeks after missing now, so Tara Grant has been missing for 3 weeks. Nobody's heard from her. Nobody's seen her. I have a child upstairs. And they finally, they're able to get a warrant to search the Grant residence. Sorry, you guys, I have a child at home. Okay, so finally, 3 weeks later, so this is March 3rd at this point. So remember, she comes home on February 9th. She's reported missing February 14th. And now this is March 3rd, 2007, same year. They get a warrant to search the Grant house. Well, Stephen, at the time he answers the door, he's there at the house, and they don't have any reason at this point to hold him or arrest him for anything. Okay, they're there just to search. So Stephen, you know, says, "Is it okay if I go walk the dog?" They're like, "Yeah," you know, and they start searching the premises. They get into, gosh, I need to remember to do it down here. They get into the garage and they start searching. Now, one of the detectives notices kind of something odd in the garage that's not really fitting in with all the rest of the stuff. And it is a like storage box, you know, like we pack our stuff away like for Christmas kind of box. And they find it's in between like the kids' toys, and it has a tarp over it. So they open it up, they see a trash bag, and then the detective kind of pushes on it. They said it gave a little give, and that's when they open it and unfortunately find the torso of Tara Grant. So at this point, they know that Stephen is responsible for this. And Stephen, of course, remember I told you, he went to go walk his dog. Well, now Stephen's missing. They can't find Stephen. Well, then they find out that Stephen has borrowed a friend's truck, and he also went by his sister's house, called, made sure the kids were okay. He purchased a toy gun. He also had pills, and I believe I read it was kind of iffy in a couple things that he brought a razor blade as well with him. Well, they end up finding him. Of course, he's going to take his own life, or at least attempt it at this point. He knows that he is caught. They know that obviously they're going to find what is in the garage, and he runs. And he was either going to take his own life himself, or he bought the toy gun because he wanted suicide by cop, basically. So they end up searching the car, and they do find it. He is found in a park that I want to say is like an hour or two away. I'll make sure I put it down here where exactly it was. But he is found. He is suffering from hypothermia, and he is rushed to the hospital. So now it's March 4th, and they get a confession from Stephen. And this is a full-on confession. He is still, I believe, in the hospital when they get the confession from Stephen. And y'all, this is just so, it's so sad. Like, and he explains it all. He writes like a huge confession. He is telling them detail what happens, which I'm not going to tell you. I'm just kidding. This is a true crime story. Of course, I'm going to tell you that. So are you ready for Stephen's confession? Oh man, I'm smearing all of that. So Stephen, he confesses to the murder, Avi. And he tells them this is what happened the night that Tara came home. So Tara came home on February 9th, as mentioned. She did tell him that she had to go back to work a day early, and they started getting in an argument. Now, I want to add too that their 4 and their 6-year-old children were in the house when this was taking place, asleep. And he said that he was angry. They started having words. he said that she was basically like being demeaning, saying that like, I'm going to leave and take the children and you're going to be broke and this and that. And he said that he lost control and he got so mad that he forgot if it was pushed or hit her and she fell to the floor. And this is when he starts to strangle her. And he has his hands wrapped around her throat, you guys, for 4 minutes. 4 minutes, he's strangling her. At one point, he says that he grabs like a piece of clothing that is on the side of him and covers up her face so he does not have to see it. He says that she at one point like grasped on to him with her hand, but at that point it was too late. He couldn't stop. And he killed his own wife. And after this happens, there is a nanny that stays with them, an 18-year-old nanny. She's out for the night, but she's gonna come back home. And he knows that he needs to get rid of his wife's body. So he then takes a leather belt, wraps it around Tara's neck, and he says that she was too heavy to carry. So he gets the leather belt, wraps it around her neck, and drags her to the garage. He says that then the belt snaps and he has to then lift her up. Well, he was going to have to lift her up anyways, right? But he lifts her up into the back of her own car, where then he drops her, and he states that that's really the moment that he knew what he had done, and that it sounded like a watermelon falling to the ground, which I will leave his exact quote down below. And he knew that he would be spending his life in prison if he didn't do something with the body. So the nanny comes home. He has Tara's body at this point in the back of her own car. The nanny comes home and he tells the nanny that she left him and they got in this argument and this whole sob story. Well, the next day, I keep on like, hello, you have 3. The next day, after he waves off the kids at the school bus goodbye, acting like everything is a normal day, he takes the car with Tara in it. You guys, I don't know if you're prepared for this. When I read this, I was like in utter shock. He takes Tara's body to his father's machine shop and lays down tarps and dismembers her body with saws. And he says in his confession that he knew, he kept having to tell himself, if you don't do this, you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life. He said that he like threw up multiple times doing it, but he knew he had to continue doing it to get rid of the body so that he would not get caught and wind up in jail for the rest of his life. So after he dismembers his wife's body, he doesn't even deserve for her to be called like his wife because of what he did. Ugh. After he does this, he places her body parts in plastic bags, puts it in like a storage container, then proceeds to take it. And again, you guys, remember this, she got murdered. He actually took her life on February 9th. Then February 10th, which is the next day, he dismembers her body. And then he takes her to the park and he hides her body parts. But he takes his kid's sled, y'all. Like, he takes his kid's sled in the snow. He has Tara's body in this box. And he even, I mean, just hearing his confession just blows your mind, because he even explains, like, just he's not a smart man, I will tell you that. He takes it on a sled and he's taking it through the park, and he says at one point the sled gets away from him and starts sliding down, where then the storage box comes open and her body parts scatter. He says he puts them back in, hikes back up, and he starts randomly placing her body parts all over the park, where he says, it, like, in his own words, that he didn't do a good job of hiding her body parts. Like, he even said, like, I didn't do a very good job at it. So he actually went back another time to move around her body, because he knew he was doing a poor freaking job at it. And then after this, when the officers get that, oh man, I don't have water, do I? I have a little bit of water. I don't want this to go hard. There you go, there you go. So I need to remember to put it back here so you guys can see it. So he says that once the bag was found with the items, that he freaked out and he went back and grabbed, I don't know. He went back and grabbed Tara's, okay, so nowhere, seriously, in all of this, I'm like, never mind. I don't even want to say it because it just sounds so gruesome. But he grabs Tara's torso. I know that for sure. And he puts her back into her torso, back into this storage container, because he knows at this point that the cops are going to be doing a wider search for everything once they had found, you know, the bag the jogger found. So he takes her body part, sorry guys, not her body parts, because those are still in the park. He takes her torso, he puts it back into the storage container, and he brings it to his dad's machine shop. I'm not like it, this is like too bulky. I don't know what I'm doing here. He takes it to the dad's machine shop, where he also works part-time. And he states that he hid it there for a couple of days, but then became worried that the body would start smelling and people would obviously find it. So this is when he takes Tara's torso and then puts it into his garage. Now, y'all, it couldn't have happened at a better time that he starts freaking himself out, because he literally does this a day before they get the search warrant to search his house. And he says that he then takes it to the house and stores and puts it in his garage, not knowing what's going to happen next. So first off, he's a piece of work, and he totally confesses all of this. And he ends up on March 6th, is formally charged with, first it's 1 count homicide. I have my notes. And they're trying to charge him with first-degree murder. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, first-degree murder is premeditated. And that's what they wanted to get him for, that this was premeditated, because then he would have a harsher sentencing. But it doesn't pan out like that. And he also gets count 2 of dismemberment and mutilation of the body. So Stephen is found in December of 2007, he is found guilty of second-degree murder. So they couldn't pin the premeditated. They didn't think it was premeditated, that it was like a crime of passion kind of thing. And he is then in February of the following year, he is then sentenced to a minimum of 50 to 80 years in prison, and then serving concurrently 10 years for the mutilation of the body. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that, so consecutively, like our last crime and crafting, they were serving consecutive sentences, which means that like if there was 50 years and then 10 years, it would run the 50 years and then they'd have to serve the 10. Well, for Stephen, he is serving the 50 to 80 plus 10 concurrently for the dismemberment of the body, but they're happening at the same time. So during like the first 50 years, that first 10 years, that counts. So I hope I explained that right. So it's serving at the same time. That 10 years isn't added on to after the 50. So I don't even know, like, he like dismembered his wife and he didn't get life. I think that's just like crazy. Even if it wasn't premeditated, like he made that conscious decision. Like he thought that process out, didn't he? Like it just blows my mind. So he actually, Stephen tried to come back and file, I don't know, habeas corpus, habeas, I don't, you guys are like, what are you saying? I'll put it down below, okay? I should have like got that right before I started this. But he tried to basically like appeal the decision, saying that they took his statement when he was suffering from hypothermia and he was not in his right mind, which of course the judge denied. So thank you to that judge. Tara's children are now living with her sister. They did take their mom's the sister's last name. They did not want the same last name as their father. They have since moved out of the state, but they do come back every single year for Tara's walk. So Tara's children actually created this walk, which happens annually every single year. And I believe Turning Points is the like foundation that hosts the event. This is their 14th annual year, and it's going to occur on September 25th of this year. It happens every single year. So this is really why I wanted to share this story, because the walk is coming up very soon and I wanted people to be aware of it. Tara's walk brings awareness to domestic violence, and the money goes towards helping people in domestic and sexual violence have financial stability to get out of the situations that they are in. It's a great cause. 90 cents of every dollar goes straight to helping these survivors. And I think it is an amazing cause. I think it's an amazing thing that her children took something so bad and did this good with it. And it's unfortunate, and so much domestic violence abuse happens every single year. And if we can help in any way, we definitely should. I will leave the link for Tara's walk in case you want to like register if you do live in Michigan. You can also do a virtual 5K race as well and donate. And then you can also donate to a team, or you can donate to Turning Points themselves. But I just thought it was so important to express this walk. And like I said, I will be donating 20% of my ad revenue for the entire month of this video. So that's why I said, please make sure you're watching the ads. because hopefully it will add up. And just let me know your thoughts of this story. Like, have you heard it? I mean, to me, I don't know. I just really couldn't fathom, like, that was your wife, and just the decisions that he made for it not being like premeditated and everything like that. Like, he keeps telling himself while he's dismembering her body that, like, if I don't do this, I'm going to end up in jail. If you do that, you're going to end up in jail, dude. Like, I don't get your thought process in all of this. I mean, well, I don't get it either way because I'm not a murderer, but just you go from strangulation to dismemberment. I mean, hiding the body and just everything he did. And like, when he's talking about it, and he's just basically talking about himself and saying that he's not smart, because he completely said that, like, I knew I wasn't hiding her body well, so I went and I moved like the body parts and everything. I was just absolutely blown away, but I am so happy, like, that they caught him. Like, this guy deserves every sentence. I can't believe you guys, I can't believe he wasn't put to life. I just can't. I didn't even know, like, reading more now that I'm like researching things myself and like learning that 1st-degree murder is life and then means premeditated, and 2nd-degree you don't get life. I'm like, you're kidding, right? Like, this has to be a joke. This guy needs to be in prison for the rest of his life. Now, I mean, 50 to 80 years from now, that's a long time. So I don't think he'll be seeing the light of day in the remainder of his life. But it's still the fact that, like, only 50 to 80 years for taking your wife's life, and not even like, and doing so much more than taking her life. You took her kids from her. You took yourself away from your kids. You took their mom away, a sister away. And it's absolutely devastating. And for what? Because you were mad. And I didn't even mention that, like, once they found the bag in the park, then Stephen went from this like doting, worried husband to this person that was having, remember I said, like, he was having interview after interview with like these news reporters, and he would then kind of like change his whole, like, not persona, but like, he then would kind of start talking down about Tara, like that she wasn't a good mom, that he was the one that was always there taking the kids to soccer practice and, you know, doing this and that. And like I said, like, he like deemed himself as like Mr. Mom. And it's just weird how he then started, he said that like he felt that she thought that he was like a valet, taking her, you know, telling him to take her car in to go get fixed while she was gone and things like that. And I'm just like, again, when I'm hearing these, like our last case, you guys, and I'm like, you did this, but like, I guess, you know, what we all wonder is the why. Like, why couldn't you just divorce her? Why couldn't you just leave and make a new start for yourself, maybe with somebody that I guess you didn't feel demasculated. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm a hot mess. He obviously did not have any kind of self-confidence, and I don't know, he's a sad little man. That's what I'm going to say. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this crime and crafting. It's a bit shorter. I feel like this one was like, I don't know. I feel like I was a hot mess in this one too. But like I said, this is my second one. So cut me some slack. I'm going to get better and better at it. And again, better at maybe like keeping the crafts over here. But I get so intense. And then I want to like talk in the camera and talk with you guys. I heard a lot of you guys say, which I loved, that you guys felt like you were, you know, drinking coffee and hanging out with your girlfriend that's spilling the tea about something she just found out. And that's exactly how I wanted these to be. I wanted it to be like I was talking with you about, you know, this true crime story I just saw, and not talking at you. That's why I like that I'm crafting and doing it and not just like sitting in front of the screen, because I wanted it to have that feeling like we were sitting here chatting together. And that's why I don't get like crazy into like what their birthday was and this and that, because I feel like when I get into all of that, like the facts and stuff, I'm like, nah. So you guys, again, I hope you, I don't want to say enjoyed this story, but I hope that it brings awareness to Tara's walk, to turning points. Again, I will leave all of those links down in the description box for you. Definitely look into it. Again, I'll leave all of the links for like my research and stuff down in the description box for you. Any videos that I may have watched, because like I said, I know you true crime people absolutely love to research after you watch the video. So you guys have a good one. I'll be back here next Saturday again with another crime and crafting. So I hope to see you then. Have an amazing weekend with your friends and family and be safe. Bye.